Sinners movie full review. I've been holding on to this for weeks because I was invited to an advanced screening with Ryan Coogler in Chicago, and I'm RAYCH Rach Jackson. If you've ever engaged with any of my movie or TV content, thank you. You are helping me get into these spaces. The first dynamic we obviously need to talk about is Annie and Smoke and Stack and Mary. I've been seeing a lot of discussions, obviously, because spoilers, right? Full spoilers. Mary turns Stack. But Stack never really wanted to see Mary again. You have to think about how the first time we meet Mary is because she's staring at him in a train station, and Sammy sneaks over to Stack like, "It's a white lady looking at you." Stack obviously did Mary wrong, right? But then he was fine with never seeing her again. Smoke sought out Annie. Sought her out. Like, when he visits her home and he sees the grave first and he says, "Papa's home." And then we see Annie on the screen. The moment we see him see Annie, that was yearning on his face. That was love. That was pain. So there's like this side discussion that's happening. Like, people are saying, "Oh, I thought Annie was his mother. I thought Annie was his mother." That's because you're a loser and you don't know what you don't want to even acknowledge the fact that a dark-skinned full woman could be a leading lady that saves them in the end, but in general, that deserves love, because there was no secret about it. I watched the movie the first time with a row full of black women, and we knew when he stood up and there's this, the way it's shot, they're like looking at each other, but there's so much distance, obviously, like metaphors, that I said, "Oh yeah, like that's him," or "that was him." Even before they got their freak on, which I enjoyed, which we will talk about. The way he looked at her while she's like giving the children in the home protection, it was just a deeper connection. And that deeper connection saved that man's life. Annie's protection saved Smoke and Stack's life up until that point. They acknowledge it in the home when we first meet Annie. And then fast forward to the end, when Smoke is ready to die himself, he takes it off when he faces the Klan. That was true love, bro. Like, and it's not to disregard what Mary and Stack had. It's just the foundation is completely different. Mind you, I might disregard what Mary and Stack had, because the way she just kept chasing after him, I hated that for her, G. Like, somebody else can have a better conversation when it comes to white passing versus the one drop rule, because that 100% plays a factor. Sammy is so funny when they're sitting at the juke joint. He's like, "What are you?" She said, my mama's daddy was half black. You know what I'm saying? But in general, down to her chasing him at the train station, chasing him at the juke joint. When she gets turned to a vampire, she comes back with a mission and chases him there. It's just her following him, and he know that. Let's get into Annie a little bit more, because the foundation of Annie is what obviously saves Smoke and everybody else. Well, up until they don't. But stay with me. The vampires were so upset that Smoke kills Annie. Like, so upset. The way they wanted what was in her brain, her knowledge, her protection, her practice, it was surprising to them that Smoke would do it. But she had already looked at the, and this is where you all have to help me with the terms, but when she was blowing and the different articles and then tossing them on the table, she had already seen that she was finna die, G. And like, that was the thing that, like, you know, I think Sinners is something you should be watching with people, because, like, you know what I'm saying, we was like, yeah, oh, she already know what it is, right? Like, another dynamic I need to talk about is the freak nasty, okay? Enjoyed it. It was really horny, but I enjoyed it. I was like, whoa, like, it's a lot going on. This freaked out. Don't mind it, but this is a freaked out movie. I had text so many people who doubted Spit. I said, look at you now. Look at you now. Yeah. All it had to take was Ryan Coogler put it in a movie, and all of a sudden, spitting in mouth's not so bad. Hypocrites, okay? Not new to this, true to this. We obviously have to bring in Sammy when we're talking about, you know, pleasing a woman, because we get this scene of him and Perlene where she's like, I walked here, I didn't even wash up. He said, that ain't no problem. And I said, real eaters rise. That's literally, we seeing vampires eating these people, and we seeing these men eating these cats. All right, like, this is something. Mind you, fast forward again, Remick at the door trying to get in, he gets to talking to Grace, because he's like, you know, obviously by this time Bo has turned, so he has his memories, and he says in Chinese, like, yeah, girl, I even know how you like to be licked. I said, another pussy licking shot. Who is writing this script? Like, how much? Not who is writing the script. Obviously, we know. But like, how much is too much eating cat? There is no limit. When it comes to Grace, it is obvious that Grace is the most vulnerable, because obviously she's the one who finally invites the vampires in. But that moment before is what we need to talk about, okay? Remick not only was like, yeah, shorty, I got your husband's memories. He says it to her in Chinese, down to how you like to be licked. I said, oh yeah, bring it in now. But the problem is this. The Remick's problem, the vampire's problem. Smoke done seen his own twin turned and didn't step outside with Annie's guidance. What other connection did he have? What other chance did he have of getting in other than Grace? Now, Bo, that was a fine man too. Y'all talking about the twins, but I had a third one in there for trifecta, choo-choo train. But I feel like Grace is catching a lot of heat, as she should, because the heat she really caught was when she burned alive, which she blew me, okay? Again, she blew me when she invited them in, but the rage, pain, all of that, she was the only link. And I think that that's what's so cool about how Ryan Coogler does his films is there's I forget who's doing the interview right now of an older Asian woman talking about how their presence on the Mississippi Delta and how they were a bridge. So if you see when we first meet Grace, Bo, and Lisa, they have two shops. They have a black shop and a white shop. The white shop, they're charging white people more, but they're still able to bridge and walk between. Grace was that bridge for the vampires going in, and Remick knew it. Speaking of Remick, I like the fact that we didn't see a lot of the gore till the end. You all know this. You all comment this often. I struggle with horror. And so I actually highly recommend this to anyone who struggles with horror like me, just like I recommended Opus, another advanced screening I was invited to. I really appreciate you all for watching my videos, especially if you've made it this far. This is so cool. Please find me other places. But we only see like blood, right? We see a lot of blood, and then a lot of jump scares. But it's not till the juke joint where we start seeing things get down, okay? I appreciated that. Them Native American vampire hunters was tearing Remick up. I'm thinking about it so much. He was bloodied, beaten, running. The sun was coming up. He ain't have nowhere else to go. He knew they was coming. He please help me. And turned on that sob story so quickly because he was able to fall back into racism. Like, if you rewatch how he first meets the Grand Dragon's son and his wife, when he comes and knocks on their door, she already up on him. She don't trust him. He looked to his left and see the KKK. Like, he sees it. The coat, garment, whatever. He said, oh, yeah. He knew what to be able to fall back on. Them Native Americans, they kidnapped my wife. They did this. Please let me in. Please let me in. Because he can't push past her. He still needs to be invited in. When she invites him in, Native Americans come back. They say, hey, somebody in your home? Somebody walked through the door? What's it to you? That also was a very funny part because we was in a, I like going to the movie theaters for the commentary from the audience, personally. Somebody said, all right, hey man, they tried to warn her, stupid. I thought it was funny. And when they leave, by the time the Native Americans had left, Remick already changed Shorty's wife. Like, he didn't even pretend to like, oh, I'm a vampire? I don't know. He got right down to business. That was an interesting turning point because it happened so quickly. Why was the movie called Sinners? It could have been called Juke Joint Vampire City, you know what I'm saying? Mississippi Vampires. It was called Sinners because there's a message all through the movie. And I knew Christians was going to do this, G. Like, and this is what is so... I know my people, okay? Born, raised, extremely Christian. 9 times out the week at that church. Women had a dress code. And I'm going to say this. The way the vampires started joining in at the end of the movie, saying, Our Father, which are in heaven, with Sammy as he was trying to get some protection, I said, oh, they going to hate this. I said, oh my God, they gonna hate this. So why was the prayer not effective? I think it was because Remick ate so many Christians already. Like, he didn't got their memories, right? You know, I truly think people didn't hear what Remick was saying to Sammy, where he was like, I know it back and forth. I've lived this life. You know, it could be a diss to the Bible because whole time we were watching Annie, right? You know, hold people down with magic. But I actually think it's just because he hadn't eaten someone of Annie's power yet. He already ate so many Christians. Mind you, the vampires again were pissed when Smoke kills Annie because they couldn't get to her memories. They wanted her knowledge. They wanted her power, and they weren't able to get it. You also have to think, and this is a historical part of Sinners I Like, how many Christians were racist, right? So even if we go straight off the fact that we see the vampire eat the Grand Dragon's husband and wife, and he got their memories, he could have learned the Bible there. But he actually, while he's reciting with Sammy in the lake or river or whatever, he's like, I know this myself. This is a memory I have. I know your word. It didn't protect him. I also think that the aspect of, after slavery, after any tragedy, there was still, sharecropping, and a church would also be on the grounds. And that was that was community, that was relief. And so, it was this running away from control. Please don't hate me when I say this, to control. The theme, I just want to be free, is said so much during the movie. And it's not just free from the church, which kind of what Sammy does at the end, where he gravitates to his guitar, versus, the church, again, after having a demonic night, right? Like, because I don't disagree with the Christians that are upset. They slipped through calling vampires demon, devil, whatever. So I'm just saying that's the point of the movie, okay? But after hours on hours and finally meeting your quota for still picking cotton, some people let loose in the church and some people want to let loose on the dance floor. Either way, it is this free thread that is said so much. If you rewatch it, y'all, rewatch it. I didn't count the last time I rewatched it the other day, but it was said so much. It was a common theme. Free slaves, free from sharecropping, free from Christianity or just like the church, free to play your music, free to dance on the juke joint, free to eat some cat, free to be yourself. And having the power to decide whether or not you want to invite someone in. Huh? The vampire connection, right? Come on now. Like, I just feel like even the drawing out of Cornbread not being able to come back in, and we already knew, as the audience, we already knew he was gone. Like, we knew he was gone, but like, the cast, right? The people inside the story didn't know yet. And so the change in his character, we's all free. He says it like, we just want to have fun. Even tries to disrespect Annie. And Annie was like, nope. Smoke was like, nope. So Cornbread talking about something. Give me the money. Why did he reach his arm out? Because he was trying to, In these moments that we laugh, because I'm not going to do that. Was scary. Other people was laughing. I was kind of like, ooh, Cornbread really changed, y'all. There is still this talk of freedom. I think that if you a church baby, the term is free from sin. I'm saved. I'm free from sin. I would love to know more of you all's thoughts with that aspect, because I've been reading up and I ain't agree with some people. That's what's hard, right? As soon as the movie drops, everybody want to add their 2 cents, 3 cents. And some of y'all I don't agree with. But I do think the aspect of freedom and how it ties in specifically to Black Mississippians is so important. So important. That is my long rant of why the movie is called Sinners. Sorry. All in all, there are parts that I missed that I am going to give a part 2 to. Comment below, all of that. And we're going to talk, because memes are coming too, bro. Like, there are so many aspects that are hilarious. These memes, you're going to get these memes. I just really wanted to wait until a couple of days after opening weekend to talk to y'all. But the movie banged. I 100% think you all should watch it again. Please make sure you're following me, RAYCH Jackson, other places. And thank you again for engaging with movies and TV with me. Because, again, advanced screenings with the director, big deal. Grateful for you all.